You're scrolling through endless espresso machine options, wondering if you'll end up spending a fortune on something that just sits on the counter gathering dust. You've probably heard the phrase prosumer and thought it sounds like a sweet spot between hobbyist and professional. But you're also aware that a misstep can mean you're stuck with a machine that's either too finicky or not powerful enough for the coffee you really want. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. In the next few minutes, I'm going to walk through exactly what makes the Rancilio Silvia with a PID worth your time, or why you might want to keep looking. First, let's set the scene for what the Silvia actually is. It's not a tiny pod appliance, and it's not a full-size commercial boiler either. Think of it as a solid metal workhorse that sits in a typical kitchen space, with a 67-ounce water reservoir that lets you pull a handful of drinks before you need to refill. The machine comes pre-installed with a PID controller. That's the digital thermostat that keeps the brew temperature within a tight band, something that matters a lot once you start dialing in espresso ratios. Add to that a pre-infusion pump that gently wets the coffee puck before full pressure kicks in, and a built-in shot timer that gives you a visual cue for consistency. Those three features are the core of why the Silvia feels more professional than its price tag suggests. Now, what does the day-to-day actually look like? I've seen a lot of people set up a home espresso station, and the biggest pain point is usually the learning curve around temperature stability. With the PID, you can set the brew temperature to, say, 200 F and trust that the machine will stay there within a couple of degrees, even after a series of back-to-back shots. That means you're less likely to notice the bitter, off-temp taste that cheap machines often produce after the first cup. The pre-infusion adds a subtle but noticeable benefit. It softens the coffee bed, reducing channeling and giving a more even extraction. In practice, that translates to a smoother body and less watery espresso when you're pulling a double on a slightly stale bean. The shot timer is a small LCD that counts seconds as the water flows. I've watched people use it to hit that sweet 25-second mark for a balanced shot, and the visual feedback really helps lock in repeatable results. What about the grind and tamp routine? The Silvia uses a standard commercial-style portafilter, so any 58mm basket you already own will fit. That means you can keep your favorite grinder and tamping technique without having to buy new accessories. The downside is that the machine doesn't have an integrated grinder, so you'll still need a decent burr grinder on the side, but that's true for almost any prosumer machine. The real hidden trade-off shows up when you consider the steam wand. It's a single-hole wand that can produce microfoam, but it lacks the power of a commercial double-wall wand. If you're aiming for latte art with a thick, glossy milk cap, you'll have to spend a little extra time perfecting your technique, and you might find the steam output a bit modest compared to higher-priced models. Let's talk maintenance, because that's where many machines trip people up. The Silvia is fully backflushable, which means you can run cleaning cycles with a blind filter and detergent to keep the group head clean. The process is straightforward. Lock the blind filter, engage the backflush button, and let the machine push water through. It takes about a minute, and you'll feel confident that coffee oils aren't building up. The PID, however, does add a layer of complexity. You'll need to set the temperature and occasionally recalibrate if you notice the brew temperature drifting after months of use. It's not a daily chore, but it does require a basic comfort with menus and a willingness to read the manual, something a complete beginner might shy away from. So, who should actually click Add to Cart? If you already own a decent grinder, are comfortable pulling a shot with a tamper, and want a machine that can grow with you as your espresso skills improve, the Silvia hits a sweet spot. It's especially attractive for people who have a small kitchen and need a compact footprint. The 67-ounce tank means you won't be refilling after every cup, which is a lifesaver when you're making a morning routine of 2 or 3 drinks. The PID gives you the temperature precision that makes a noticeable difference once you start experimenting with different bean origins and roast levels. And if you're the type who enjoys a bit of hand tweaking, the shot timer and pre-infusion let you dial in a recipe without buying an external controller. On the other hand, if you're looking for a truly plug-and-play experience where you just press a button and walk away with a perfect latte, you might want to keep looking. The need for an external grinder, the learning curve around temperature settings, and the modest steam power